Hello, everybody. We're here again in one of the Agile20Reflect Festival events, and today we have Stuart Young and Sathpal Singh who are going to discuss the drawing that's been part of the festival, but we're also going to do a little bit of an introduction to drawing beforehand and visualization and just the whole way that you can actually incorporate this into the various work that you do. So don't worry if you don't have any, you don't feel you got any artistic ability. Stuart's gonna talk you through all of this. So before we start, this festival is part of the Agile20Reflect Festival. You'll be able to see that in the various backgrounds we have up, and a couple of things to cover. We have a community policy. The community policy is here to ensure that everyone has a comfortable time, enjoys themselves and feels safe. Any problems, talk to me in this setting, and any problems beyond that, if it's with me. We do have an email address, and so you can go to the website on that. So we want to make sure that this is being comfortable. We're heading at the fourth week of the festival, and we haven't yet had any incidents or issues reported. So that's really wonderful. It really does show that self-organization and autonomy works. The other thing to draw your attention to is that we have been funding this from donations from people. We've got 70 organizations backing us, and we've taken nothing from them. So we've deliberately not taken any money from any of the Agile organizations. We've got their support, but we're not taking their money. All the money's coming through the GoFundMe, and everyone who's on there who's decided to put their name down, we thank profusely openly, and the other ones who have given anonymously, we're thankful for them as well. And really, that funds and that money allows more people access. It allows us to contact more people to get them involved. It's also, we're going to use that towards any of the archiving activities that might, that might need some money. We're going to record this call. We're going to also then put the call into the archive. And the key point of putting it in the archive is that and other people who couldn't make it just now due to a clash of events, so that can come along and see it on their YouTube, perhaps on their telly, in a year's time, 3 years time. And they can share the moment. Right, so I've spoken enough because you've really came to see Sath and Stuart. So I'm going to hand over to I think it's Stuart first.
Awesome. On that note, so it is, if you've ever seen me talking or doing anything, or Sathpal, you'll know and Scott, we're all about interaction. So I hope you didn't expect just to sit there and not be able to do anything. So please do grab yourself a pen and a bit of paper. What we'll be doing is we'll be talking about the benefits of visual thinking, and hopefully I can see a few of you. I'm pretty impressed with Erica's got a nice little flip chart there. It'd be great to get some interaction from all of you and your experiences. Hopefully for some of you this might be a shock of what you deem visual thinking to be and the benefits of this in the agile space and beyond. So we'll bring that home and we'll really get some connections going. So we're going to sort of do some interaction exercises, have a bit of fun, share a drink, and then we'll proceed by looking through the principles and thinking through them through the author being Scott and the rest of the crew there, and we'll talk through that, and then hopefully more time for questions and Q&A at the end. There's 3 of us here though, so if you do have questions as you go through, please do share in chat. So there we have it. I shall share my screen. This is that moment where everything was running swimmingly, and then you try it live. We'll see. Let's see if technology is on our side. I'm sure it will be. So we do have a few slides, but I don't believe in slideware. This is just a way of getting through, but we'll make sure we do plenty of interaction. So, bit of an introduction. Sathpal, my friend, would you like to sort of briefly say a few words?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, sure. So you want to start? So I guess one of the things we've tried to do here, which I guess is at this point is probably for illustrative purposes, is Stuart and I were having a chat, and at some point we've both visualized, when people come onto a call and they talk about themselves, or they have a slide in PowerPoint, they've got a bunch of bullets or a bunch of words, They're trying to describe themselves. So I did this one a while back, and I've used it a couple of times. It's the second time it's made an appearance at the festival. And what it tries to do is it tries to basically visually summarize who I am, my journey. So you can see there the road. So I'm kind of deliberately using a metaphor. I'm sure Stuart will go and touch on that type of idea later when we talk about visual thinking and visualization. So it kind of summarizes, my technology background. I've largely been in technology roles, technology leadership, my professional memberships, my commitment to Agile, and on the social side, the various sort of things I'm involved in, my meetup group, obviously my role in Agile20Reflect, and the fact that I visualize and I have an Instagram feed called Visual Sath. So that's probably the best way to summarize that. But that's a visual summary of me. So we'll probably talk a little bit more about some of that as we go on. But that's probably all I would say now, Stuart. Over to you.
Awesome, my friend. And it was yesterday, Sath was saying, you mentioned that you've got that visual, and I thought, reminded me that I'd done one back when I was at the Sketchnote camp, and I thought, and it's interesting, we're both on a journey metaphor, but I've started at the top there.
There you go.
But yeah, it's great, like showing already that there's different styles being used and different ways to interpret things. And a very quick refresher here of thinking about big picture thinking, having everything on one page, but very, very short and snappy intro from me. As you can see here, I was a design graduate. I did do an illustration degree, but that doesn't give me any more right to be sort of sat with Scott and yourselves and Sathpal and talking about visual thinking. Probably one of the most important moments for me was around when I left university. I actually worked with adults and children with disabilities. So a lot of the stuff that I'll be talking about as an introduction to visual thinking really touches on this sort of chapter of my life. And you'll see as we go through. But I was introduced to graphic recording, and back in the day when I was working in social care. More on that later. Did a little bit of live illustration, became a business analyst, where suddenly communication wasn't necessarily utilized as well as it could have been. And then I hit this beautiful world called Agile. And I like doing swim runs, but we'll maybe touch on that later on. So I thought it would be quite nice to get this sort of flavor of what visual thinking and visualization is all about. And it was really interesting having some good chats with Scott and Sathpal about what we'll call this. And, I don't like the word artist. So we had a debate about that. It was good fun. And for me, I'll explain more about it. Now, these are just some motivations for me about visual thinking. And Sabrina, who I can see here, she was recently on a course that I delivered and go through the same things. In the business space, so when we think about the Agile Reflect and everything that agility stands for, if I had to focus on a simple why, it would be around enhancing team collaboration and accelerating learning, but more on education as well as we go forward. And also you may see here, I have drawn a little rugby ball, because this is a team sport, and this is definitely a team sport. So the first motivation is around participation and engagement. So if you're trying to involve people, engage with people, then visuals can be really, really powerful. So again, before I knew about this wonderful movement in the business space, before I'd heard of Dave Sibbett and the Grove Consulting, and some other shout outs to some other amazing places and people that are doing this, such as Andy doing Vocablo and other people, before I'd heard of any of the graphic recording, which is basically minuting a meeting in pictures. So you're basically drawing the key ideas, and the whole purpose is to kind of synthesize those key things and to create an information radiator. So you've heard it here, folks. Again, really focuses on a lot of the principles of agility, really improving collaboration and creating information that's clear for all. So synthesizing that information was really important and prevalent when I was working within social care. And it's something that I use all the time now. And it's really interesting. I went away from the value of working within social care, where I did visualization to support people to be more engaged, people with reading and writing difficulties, I was tapped on the shoulder from a friend at art college, and he said, "We can do this corporately. I see you're doing graphic recording." And I was like, "What do you mean? Why would people outside of social care think this was such a good idea?" And he said, "No, corporately, it's really cool. It's a good thing, right?" So off we go to the pharmaceutical industries and be drawing up all these different things. And really, it was, for me then, it felt like I was the chocolate fountain of the wedding, if you can understand that analogy, right? Literally, it looked nice, but it didn't, no one really interacted with it, engaged with it. Sorry to anyone that was at any of the conferences that I was at back then. But what was really interesting is once a guy looked at my work, he had no choice but to leave the room and look at my work. And he was looking at my work and he pointed at it and he was chatting to his friend. I thought, this is my moment. This is my moment. And as he got closer, I thought, this is it. He's gonna say he likes the work. This is brilliant. And as he got closer, he looked at it and he said, "I find this so distracting." And I thought, brilliant. This man gets it. That's exactly what this is. It is a distraction, but a positive one at that. So there we go. So the other things, motivations, which I hope really resonate with you all here, are being part of this wonderful community, is generating ideas and solving problems and alignment. I'm going to sort of mention those there. And I ask you, in any situation, whether it be paired working, whether it be a retrospective, whether it be a requirements gathering workshop or a scaled, some kind of event that you might get in a scaled environment, when are you not trying to generate ideas or solve problems or find alignment? Okay, so for me, I mean, I'm not good at looking at all these things. I'll look at all the chat in a second. It'd be great to get your ideas and motivations, and we'll reflect on that at the end. But for me, when we think about ourselves as coaches, trainers, facilitators, teachers, team players, this is what it's all about: generating ideas and solving problems. From agility point of view, incorporating fast feedback. From a design thinking point of view, really trying to create, quick, fast prototypes for learning. The other thing that I want to touch on, and we'll go on and all three of us will talk about this, and all of us, is around alignment. So, we always think we're aligned, but we're not. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that wonderful typical IT project visual. It's been in most agile slide decks at one stage or another. And it's the rope swing and the tire. It's been used again and again since the 80s, but it's the most powerful way to say about the lack of cohesion within any business model, service, or project across any organization. So all of these things, this is the motivation. What can we do? And I'll explain more as we go. The other thing that I wanted to say was around making the invisible visible, or making the intangible tangible. I'm sure a few of you here will know that the Scrum Guide was updated. And I love the new definition of a product. And it says a service, a tangible product, or something more abstract. Now, as we know, agility is far and beyond the world of software, but it works incredibly well. In a VUCA world, software, it sits in that space. And software is intangible. How can we draw it? How can we get alignment? Think about Industry 4 manufacturing. What can we do to make information clear for all? That's the thing. So that's the responsibility here of all of us. And I'll explain more about that as well. And then finally, embracing divergent thinking, divergent and convergent thinking. Now, if any of you have seen any of the talks that I did last year, it was more on visual thinking and product innovation. But if we think about agility and all of those the events that we might get that are core to Scrum, or any of those practices that you may love or hate, all of those practices are really trying to embed divergent thinking, diversity of thought. And that's what we get through pictures. And I've got an exercise that we'll do very shortly. So grab your pens, all about this, all about how can we embrace diversity, divergent thinking. And the other wonderful thing about this is visual thinking for me is not just about creating you drawing. you creating an output, you doing that. It's about creating environments. So if you as an agile coach, facilitator or trainer want to embrace convergence, the beautiful trade-off is the drawing with templates such as the business model, the SWOT analysis, Kinevin, whatever you want to call it. That is kind of framing everything. So this is just some of the things that I've just added. Of course, there's many more connections and so forth. In fact, just if I change just my view just for a second, one thing I wanted to sort of mention early on is this here from Steve Jobs. Creativity is just connecting things, right? And I think that when we think about this, the Scrum Guide is changed now. It doesn't say it anymore, but it says about creating the definition, teams working with complex adaptive problems. Whilst, sorry, I'm just going to change my view back there. There we go. Whilst creatively and productively creating awesome, valuable products. So creativity is key. And as we go forward through this, what I feel is really important is that creativity, as Niels Flayling once said, from idea to innovation takes creativity, and creativity is in the hands of your teams, and it's in your hands. So I'd like to do a little exercise. I'll pause. Sabrina, if anyone needs a pen, and it wasn't during COVID, Sabrina has every pen going, but unfortunately you can't have any of Sabrina's pens right now. She will give you pen envy right there.
That's the problem. You fed my addiction to stationery.
I am sorry about that. Yeah, this is if you like stationery and you like stationery cupboards, you will like visual thinking. So what I'd like you to do is, Sabrina, and I don't know if Grant I saw was on the list. He may have, if he's here, he'd have done this as well in the past. What I'd like you to do, and I want you to feel safe in a safe space to do this. I would like you to draw a picture of the drink that you are drinking or your favorite drink. So just draw a picture of something you're drinking. And I'll stop sharing a second and get to your face. I would like you to draw a picture of your drink, and too much to do. Maybe we can have some music in the background. So I don't know how but Scott's drawing and he's videoing this. He's doing a lot of stuff. He's parenting. I'm just going to grab a beer. I'd be a terrible Scrum Master, so I haven't time boxed this or got
the on Amazon Music.
Ten seconds remaining. Erica, I hope you don't mind, but I would like to look at your picture. It looks lovely. But I'd like to look at everyone's picture. But I can see from here, even without pinning you, that is a very frothy beer. Oh, I'm liking a frothy beer. But you've drawn it. Where is your frothy beer, Erica? Oh, can I see it?
Actually, I finished one just before we started, so I'm going to have another one maybe later.
See, it helps with the creative juices. Great. Let's have a look at your pictures. Let's have a look. Brilliant. I've got an iron brew made from Scotland and made from Gurthers in Scotland. Got a nice frothy drink there. Oh, nice. Carl's got a Coors. Is that a Coors beer? Nice. Mary, lovely. Mary, that's you're gonna have to take your backdrop down, Mary. All we can see is your hand. All your lovely backdrops will have to come off. Your that's great. Wonderful. These are awesome. These are all so cool. Right. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. There is reasoning behind this. I just wanted to there's always a reason behind these things. Now, the reason for getting you to draw that is I just wanted to get across the fact that it's a bit of a change. Usually get people draw a house or something like that, but the great thing is you've all drawn, you've drawn some sort of wine glasses or something similar. These are all really super cool. Now, just out of interest, if let me see if I can put anyone on the spot. If I was going to get you to draw a house, what would you draw? Can anyone be, how rapid can someone be at drawing a house?
Square, triangles.
Look at that. Look at Sabrina. Look at that. Brilliant. And then, oh, brilliant. And Erica, we get Sabrina's picture. I'm just going to pin Sabrina. I don't know if you guys can have a look at that. If I'd have got you all to say draw a house, the chances are you would have drawn a window either side of your door, and maybe a smoking chimney. And I've done this globally. I did this in India a few years back. And the interesting thing is, even if you do not have a window either side of your door, you would often draw two windows. And this is because we are conditioned to draw using a universal language, which we use since we were children. So big round of applause to all of you, that we can all draw to communicate using a universal language. And that is super powerful. That is, if you wanted to switch off right now and then just go, right, I've heard it all. To me, that's the most powerful thing. People say, can you really teach people to draw in a day? Actually, you can teach people that they can draw, to communicate very quickly. And so I want to move on from that. I've got a few more things to explain. And I think this is what it's all about. If I asked any of you, can anyone just sort of maybe put it into chat what your favorite children's book was? Your favorite children's book, put it in chat, or even just shout out, just unmute. You can put it in chat. Oh, nice, we've got them already. Nice. Got a few there. Any others? Tintin, okay, great. Now, as they come in, and you're probably reading this, the chances are the reason that you can remember those awesome, wonderful children's books is thanks to a dazzling array of pictures that bounced off those pages. And that is because there's this term visual literacy. There's a really amazing academic studies out there that suggest that we learn to navigate a children's book using our visual literacy before we learn to read and write. And so I'm going to be honest and say that I failed fast, but I used to talk a lot about left brain, right brain thinking. Now, they're not such bad things to talk about as far as contextualizing that we all think differently, which is beautiful. But actually, I think this is really clear and a really important, poignant part of, for me, visual thinking. It's the fact that we can all connect to this. Every one of us, we have already used visual literacy. We use it every day. And that's what's so powerful about this. It's a way of understanding and interpreting things. Now, my children are big now, so I went to a primary school. My sister works in a school, so I was invited. But I went to the school, and we did some experiments around dual coding. So we had 9-year-old children, and we used drawing. It was quite cruel. They were learning about gravity. So was I. I've got lots to learn in life. And we had one group, one cohort who were looking at the drawings, and they were and they could. I was live illustrating as the teacher was teaching this new syllabus, and they were able to run experiments and talk to each other using drawings. We pushed all the pictures away. The next cohort came in, and they didn't have any drawings or any visual representation. And this is around understanding how you can boost knowledge and retention through pictures. Those children were tested months later, and those that had pictures could retain that information. So, a shout out to people like Dave Sibbett from Grove Consulting. I had the opportunity to meet him in San Francisco last year, but he's written books on this, and he says that visuals extend group retention, the retention of group memory. So what this is, when we put this back in your world of agile coaching, training, facilitation, passionate agilators, this is what it's all about. It's about creating memorable images that can help to sort of make things more to resonate. The other thing that was really beautiful, that really kind of, I don't know why, but it almost brings a tear to my eye. they had a child that was going from nursery to primary. So if we've got globally, we're looking at sort of 3-year-old, and she spoke English as a second language. So she was not so expressive verbally with when she had a conversation with me. But I asked her to tell me about the gingerbread man that she just learned, and they used a story map. Now, that's not the story map Jave pattern that we're used to in the Agile space. It was picture collage. And she managed to tell me the whole story using just pictures, no words. So it's really powerful stuff. And I really like this stuff. And one other thing that I would say is that a lot of people that I know that have dyslexia have said that they think through, they learn through pictures. And a lot, when I wrote an article on that experience, there was some really nice comments saying that, you know, this is really, hopefully this has encouraged more people to realize the benefits of visual thinking. And this is where I think, and this is why I want to be kind of quick, because I'd love to hear more from all of you guys, but this is where I'm thinking, this is a kind of a statement that sits outside of this, but more about the Agile Reflect. But I really find that Agile is really informing education, and education is informing Agile. And that what we're really trying to do is create the best conditions in which people can learn and share and collaborate. So, you know, that's what it's all about. The other thing that's really important is this bit here. Visual literacy includes the ability to interpret, comprehend, and express ideas using and creating visuals. So you don't have to be the one drawing to be a visual communicator, right? That's the important bit. Going back to my days within social care, it was all around picture and symbol communication. And this stuff really resonates with me. And I'm sure, like you guys, you always have these moments where you're like, oh, okay, I learned this stuff years ago. Now I can see how it resonates with what we do now. This is what was called the symbol hierarchy, which kind of talks about the level of representation and or abstraction different things have when you're trying to explain something. Now, this obviously doesn't bear in mind different sensory needs, but when I was working with adults with learning disabilities, it was a really good way to understand different varying ways in which we can incorporate communication. If I was explaining a grey elephant moving into a room, I'd grab it. That would be the best thing. Without being tokenistic, symbol and picture and drawings will only work will help with certain levels of communication. For any of you here that have had experience in social care, you'll know that with profound and multiple learning disabilities, miniature objects and objects of reference is something that's more powerful. But you can see there that symbols and pictures and drawings are clearer than the written word. So I think we need to think of this more than art, but more about, you know, this is about sort of learning and connecting with each other and helping with the learning. One final thing I need to go before I just sort of draw something up is this was a shout out to Tamsin Mitchell. A few of you here may know of Tamsin. Tamsin was another visual thinking lover, and she passed away last year. And I learned a lot from Tamsin. And Tamsin was the one that lugged me over to do a Grove course. And we were going to do a talk together around how we can use visual thinking to reduce cognitive bias. As Sabrina and others will know, that visual thinking or drawing is a 3-step process. We actively listen, we synthesize, and we draw. So as a live illustrator, this was at the gathering, the London gathering, Scrum gathering. If I'm drawing from a talk, it's everything that's going through my mind. So there's a bit of a bias there about how I interpret what's being said. So what we did is we attacked that canvas together, and we were going to do a talk all about this. But it really is a team sport. We can learn and we can share things. So don't feel that the person in your team that's a UX designer or someone who went to art college is the only one that holds the pen. Everyone should hold the pen. And I am going to prove that once again now. I'm going to ask you, now that you're all warmed up, I'm going to ask you to draw a picture that represents the word agile. Away you go. Draw a picture that represents the word agile. It feels so unprofessional being on Zoom, feeling like, you know, drinking a beer. I have to remind myself it's a Saturday, it's okay. Or I just hide the beer outside of view. So a picture. Sorry if we're going very fast, but I do want to go through the principles, and I also want to hear more from you wonderful people. A picture that represents agile. There is a reason why this may feel slightly difficult, so do not fear. And there's a reason behind it, a bit of learning behind this. And you're in a safe space, and you are free to share or not share if you do not wish to share. But I'll give you another 30 seconds. What I'm trying to simulate is that live space. I'm absolutely loving. I want to have a conversation at some stage with Erica. I'm loving your. I like the way you're like very. You're agile and nimble and a drawer. I love the way you're sort of like kneeling down, drawing away there. It's great.
Stuart, forget Erica for a bit and look at mine.
I'm with you, man. This is the problem with I'm going to unshare my friend. Gary, where are you? Is that Maru?
Yeah, is that Pancake Tuesday?
No, it's Juggler. Is from the circus.
This is beautiful, Maru. I love what you've got there. You've got a juggler. That's interesting. Sabrina, you're holding your one up there. What have you got there?
I'm cheating because obviously I did this on your course.
Oh, man.
But I am in the background marketing this event. So I want to work.
Okay, that's good. Well, you've drawn some sort of empirical cycle. I like that.
Yeah.
Scott, you've drawn people. I like that. Collaboration. We've got another kind of empirical cycle going on there. Oh, Carl, could you unmute and just tell me I love this person. Is he being agile?
Yeah, he's bent over backwards, which is sometimes me at work, I think, and trying to go around in circles.
I like that. I like that. And Sabrina, you've got like a nice horse. Is this a horse? Erica, sorry. You've got. I've got to. I'm seeing it from a distance. I need to pin you. So
it's actually any kind of like agile animal. So agile for me, it's actually being fast, being like interacting quickly and so on. So really like pure sense of the word agile as it is.
Awesome, thank you. And Greg, oh, I like that. That's yeah. Is that how it feels? Like in this surprise, this delight of this toy box that comes up.
So, I have to confess, Stuart. For me, Agile's animal is the colibri, but I had no chance at drawing it. That's
okay.
Why I took the juggler.
Well, the thing is, these are all. Oh, Greg, go for it. Greg, explain your picture, my friend.
Well, Jack in the Box. You see the box?
I can.
Oops, yeah. Spring, badly drawn Jack in the Box.
It is not badly drawn, my friend. That is very clearly a Jack in the Box. The problem is, Greg, you and everyone here have failed. You've all failed. I'm shocked because I said quite clearly that visual thinking is a universal language, but you've all drawn such different things. How beautiful! Well done. Round of applause. So this is what's wonderful. Now, what you've just drawn is an ideograph. And an ideograph is a picture of an idea or concept. And unfortunately, the world of Agile is riddled in ideographs. But what is beautiful is that it embraces diversity. It embraces experience. And that is what's wonderful. The picture of a house, the picture of a glass, that's a pictograph. It's tangible. We can see it, we can taste it, we can feel it. But Agile's an ideograph. And the reason why I really wanted to throw that in here is that, this is what I'm saying. It's about diversity of thought. If you want to get divergent thinking, get people thinking about those ideographs, and you're going to get some wonderful, wonderful things that are going to come from that. So there we have it. Just a little sort of powerful technique to get us all thinking in a diverse way. Just going to go back to the slide. These are all the other thing I wanted to say, I think and Scott might talk about this later on as well, and look at the principles. But the other thing I want to say is, if you see a picture, there's a gentleman who wrote a book called The Responsive Chord, and he suggests that communication happens when words and pictures resonate with your already inbuilt belief systems. So if you see something and it connects, making those connections, people making connections, peer-to-peer viral change, right? That's what's all about innovation. Then that's a beautiful thing, right? So that's what visual thinking is about, making those connections. I'm going to talk about one final bit from me, and then you'll be glad to know we'll move on. But I just wanted to talk you through some quick tips, because it's quite nice, I think, to do a bit of sharing and share the love. So I'm just going to, I was on EPOCam all the time, was I? Maybe I was. I can't see me. No, I can. No, I'm not. There we go. Let me have a little look if I can change my camera view. Let's have a look to EPOCam. There we go. There we go. Hopefully you can see that okay. So just a few tips around visual thinking. I don't know why I'm leaning down. I'm going to talk through these tips, and then we'll move on. But I these things are really, you think about yourself in that live space as coaches, trainers, facilitators. What kind of things do you need to remind yourself? The first thing that I wanted to say is, don't be precious. What you guys all did super beautifully there is that you just had some fun and you drew, right? We're not trying to draw amazing pictures that look like Leonardo da Vinci's work, throwing all your kids' pictures off the fridge and putting it up there. That's fine. That's cool. You can have that output, but it's more about the outcome and it's about the process. Don't be precious. Enjoy it. Have fun. Keep calm and carry on. I don't know about you guys, but I've been in those positions where I've drawn really badly and I've written badly. I can't spell. You are that, as Dave Sibbett would say, you are the human cursor. So it's not about you. Ego outside the door. It's about the process. It's about working together collaboratively. No one's looking at you. They're looking at this. And you know what? The slower you go, the better. There's always this person in your mind saying, you've got to be quick, slow down. Someone once said to me, when you're drawing, I'm learning. When you're drawing, I'm learning. And that's cool, right? That's beautiful. So just bear that in mind. We all want our flip charts to look nice. We all want them to pop and why not? But communication over decoration, right? We're trying to communicate. We can color in, we can apply pastels, we can make things engaging, we can use banners, we can use borders, all those things, and why not? But it's communication first. That's key. It's okay to be messy. Scott and Sath, have we had many complexity thinking talks at the Agile Reflect? Or Sabrina, sorry?
Have we had what, sorry?
Have we had any kind of systems thinking or complexity thinking? Have we had any Dave?
Yeah, I think we've had a few. We've not had Dave himself, but I think we've had a few, yeah. Talking about, system thinking, complexity, that sort of stuff. You're breaking up quite a lot. I don't know if anybody else is getting that, just so you know.
I didn't know that, I'm afraid. Sorry to can you hear me?
No,
okay?
it's all right. Just to point out.
I was getting the same, but don't be afraid. It happens.
Well,
that's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
At this moment, I usually go to the kids and say, turn all your Wi-Fi off, but they're not here at the moment. Just let me know if it does switch off again, and I will see what I can do. What is the world ability is complex, so actually being messy is super helpful. So it's okay to be messy. Listen with both ears. Your job, again, as facilitators, recorders, is to listen. It's all about that neutral facilitator role. We need to be thinking about the fact we have two of these and one of these. A few more things. If any of you here have ever read the Mike Rhodes sketch note handbook, you'll know that he has this beautiful quote that says, The structure is the meat and veg, and the fancy drawing is the gravy on top. If you ever think your drawings aren't great, it's because you maybe haven't thought about structure. Lots to be said about structure. Maybe we'll talk about that later if there's time. I'm just going to get a quick bit of fast feedback. Sathpal, how is my audio and glitching now?
You're good, much better actually. Yeah, loud and clear. You obviously made a change. You tweaked something.
If you've been watching WandaVision, it's all a glitch in the Matrix, just so you know. No spoilers.
The video is reversed.
The video is reversed. Is that video reversed now?
That's normal.
There we go. Well, it took you guys long enough to tell me, but there we go. The pictures are still there. Thank you for telling me, Greg. By the way, I'm using an EPO-cam. It's kind of helpful, but there we go. So hopefully it's the right way around now. Is it the right way around for everyone? Or just Greg?
Yes.
Quick thing that when we're doing this, if you are live, you don't have to draw straight away. You can use Post-its, rearrange and cluster, and those sorts of things, always helpful. And it's about the process over art. It's about the process. So for me, it's not about the output, but helping people have those discussions. Standing at the whiteboard, standing at the flip chart, being in mural, drawing away, helping people with those connections. One thing I just wanted to sort of throw in here is I once went to, a few years back, when we were able to work together, I went to a high street bank and we were looking at their internal agile transformation journey. And I was thrown so much work and stuff and slides. It was all very confusing. And I was very precious. I forgot about this. And I had created this mess that I thought. And I said to the guy that brought me in, I said, you know, have I failed? He said, no, this is great. He said, it's helped us to contextualize what we needed to think about. So it's the process. It's getting everyone on one page. This is a shout out to Tamsin Mitchell. Practice makes not perfect, but better, such as flipping the EPO-cam and not glitching and cutting half of your hair off, all those sorts of things. Practice makes better. And finally, I think the most important thing is simplicity is key. Simplicity, it's all about simplicity. We're just trying to help to create quicker ways to learn to communicate. So find simple ways. Lots of giveaways that I can give at the end around how we can do that. But for now, I'm going to, I believe, well, they've got the slides, but I'm just going to change my view back over to here. Hopefully I'm the right way around. I'm just going to carry on with the slides and pass over to my friend Sathpal.
So we're not seeing any slides at the moment. We're just seeing,
Not
yeah.
yet. It's on its way. It's
perfect.
though. There we go. Well, just before we move on, is there any pertinent things in chat, Sath or Scott, that should be raised now before we run forward?
No, there's nothing in there at the moment. No questions as such.
Good stuff.
Unless it's a small group. Unless anybody has one, you're welcome to unmute and ask Stuart your question before we move to the next bit. Happy to keep it interactive. Yeah, just ask away, I guess.
Pause for a second, but if anyone wants to say anything, please do. Otherwise, we'll just sort of. Okay. Cool. Just shout over any three of us. We talk over each other anyway, so do you? That, my friend, over to you.
Thanks, Stuart. So one of the things we thought we'd do, folks, is we'd kind of share the story of the visuals that we help produce as part of us telling the story of the festival. Now, as Stuart's outlined, a lot of this is about communication, ultimately. That's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to convey ideas, and there's different ways to do that. And one of the comments in the chat earlier when we were all kind of chatting was 2/3 of the population actually learn better through visual. so they can process that kind of information. So it's a kind of key technique and tool. Again, it doesn't work for everyone. Everyone interprets differently, which I think is part of what makes this such an interesting domain to be in, and also how you use these techniques. So one of the things that I was asked to do early on, so this was very early on in the festival, where we started to think about how do we help people understand how they can be involved in the festival, how they can get involved. And we tried to kind of paint a picture, if you will, of the vision so that we start to get that engagement. So Stuart was talking earlier about one of the sort of motivations for doing visualization, visual thinking is participation engagement. So Scott came to me and said, look, we've got shape. We'd kind of come up with the kind of acronym then. And we were like, look, how do we kind of convey this? Can you visualize something? Can you draw something? And we'll get it out there, and it will help. Hopefully it will help resonate with people. It'll help connect people with what we're trying to do here, what the vision is here. So I sat down and had to think about it. How would I kind of convey this? And obviously I wanted to do all of this in totality is one thing. So when I'm thinking about this sort of thing, so this is the kind of visual thinking process. As Stuart said earlier, one of the things it's really important to try to do is keep it simple. You're not looking to create something overly complicated. It's not about the art, it's about communication. It's about conveying ideas and getting the messages across. So when I started to do it, I thought, okay, right, I've got the 5 things. I've got speak. So shape is, speak, host, attend, promote, enliven, as you can see there. And I wanted to create something which was going to be visually impactful, but also connect with people. So I thought, okay, what kind of ideas are going to work here? So when you're doing visualizations, Stuart touched on earlier, part of this is it's a visual language, it's a vocabulary. So there's a number of things here that you can use to kind of connect ideas, bring content together, group content in something called containers. So speech bubbles is something I use quite a lot. You can see there, speak, simply, that's an obvious concept. Speaks for itself, really. And simply I wanted to draw face there and say, look, project that. You want to speak, you want to be a speaker, you can be involved as a speaker. I didn't need to make it any more complicated than that. And as you can see there, I've not tried to draw a complicated person or face. I've kept it very simple. It's a simple outline, and the outlines of the shapes are kind of important too. So, just got the nose, the mouth, and the eyes here. Again, people were hosting. We wanted people to come on through their meetups and through their different communities and want to go, look, I want to be part of this. I will host an event. So I think the concept of hosting is quite straightforward as well for people. So I didn't want to overcomplicate it. So I think hosts tend to be somebody we understand as those who are, bringing us in, welcoming us. They're the people orchestrating the event. And I used it also as a little opportunity to kind of weave in some of the branding. So you can see the logo there in the middle there, Agile20Reflect logo. So attend for me was a good one. So when I was thinking about attend, obviously there's so many festival goers I've got involved, attended events, meetups, but this was an opportunity to think about, okay, this is a global festival. A lot of us have been really passionate about the idea of diversity. So I wanted that to come across. I thought, look, people are going to come to these events, they're going to come from all over the world. Although they're going to be sitting home, the experience that everyone has tried to create in the festival is that idea of togetherness. So when I was creating this, what I tried to do, create a group of people, and how do you try to create that sense of diversity? So that's what I've tried to do through the different colours, the different shapes I've used. The way that I've kind of coloured in the characters is very much an attempt to convey difference, but togetherness. And a lot of this was also about the promotion. So early on, we wanted people to get involved. We wanted people to share our vision. We wanted people to help evangelize around it. So we had the idea of promotion. So when I was thinking about that, I thought, okay, promote. You want people to promote. What are they ultimately going to be doing? Well, to me, that translated into perhaps we want them to fly the flag, right? So help us fly the flag for the festival around the world. And over the course of the festival, Grace and other members of the team have built this incredible global ambassador network. So a lot of them have got involved and actually helped us promote the festival in their parts of the world. So we've gone from that global idea to that localization, which is extremely important as we've tried to get local communities involved and surface the different flavors of Agile. So when in my head, that translates into like, somebody's got the flag and they're flying it and they're doing the promotion. And of course, we wanted to keep the idea that this was global. So it was very difficult for me to overlook the fact that somehow I had to weave like, you know, a quick visual of the globe in there. So I thought it was kind of nice to have it like this, global. You're promoting across the globe. You're promoting your events, you're promoting the festival, flying the flag. And lastly, which is the one I know Scott's really kind of big on, is this whole idea of celebration. So the festival was all about coming together, that togetherness, having a party, marking the occasion of the 20th anniversary of the manifesto, and celebrating, having that party. And therefore, I'm deliberately trying to use some metaphors and pictograms that naturally convey that. So again, keeping them simple, what sorts of pictograms do people typically connect with parties? Balloons, music, dancing. And we saw that come through nicely at the opening ceremony. So again, keep it simple. I think that was the idea. I think that kind of plays to what we were trying to do. And just to close out quickly, that the cloud you see there framing that was also quite important because you kind of connect the content. So I did want it to feel as one. And that again comes back to the idea of creating a container. But again, it's what are the connotations of a cloud? So when you think about clouds, you think about daydreaming, that type of thing. And this whole idea of a vision and actually envisioning what we were trying to do here. So that was really some of that thinking that went through from me when I created this. And I shared it with Scott. Scott loved it. And in the previous version of the website, it was kind of front and center on the homepage. But for me, what's been really great about a visual like this is it's quite simple. It captured the different dimensions early on of engagement for those who were keen to get involved in the festival. But others have used it in their own communication. So our kind of friends and sort of community members in South America had weaved these visuals and shapes into their videos and used them to get these ideas across. So I think it served a purpose. And for me, it was wonderful to have the opportunity
which is
to create
because,
such a thing. Go on.
Yeah, which is interesting because the Spanish words for those things aren't the same.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
But they still kept shape.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And it's that acronym. They were actually using the acronym a lot in their social media posting. So that worked, and the visual connected with the acronym and brought the idea to life. So that was the motivation for doing that. And again, ultimately, it's all about a communication of an idea and try to get engagement.
Awesome.
So I think that's all I was going to say, just to explain some of that visual thinking and how I came to produce this.
Awesome, my friend. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Scott, are you ready to?
Yeah, I want to start by really thanking you and Sath for the help you give. That's great. Going to the next picture. That's awesome. I think it's good to go to the next visual. In pulling together the festival, I had 3 problems. Okay, the first problem was we were trying to create something that had never been created before, and I was almost getting to the point where I was getting frustrated every time we started talking about what the festival was and everyone talked about a conference. Yeah. So they would say, what's your streams? We're not having a stream. Yeah. But what's my time slot? We're not having time slots. So one of the things, the central management nature of it, and this wasn't just like, people getting involved in it were having difficulty, or patrons having difficulty, or people that wanted to speak having difficulty. This was the trustees as well. So I'm dyslexic, and one of the things that were actually when we had a dyslexic meeting came up in the dyslexic discussion was actually I can hold a lot of pictures in my head, and even although I made multiple videos, people weren't absorbing the collectiveness of what we were doing. Now, partly that's because sometimes people's first language isn't English, and partly it's because people were new to agility and the concepts of agility. So even some of the trustees, they maybe ran conferences before, but not agile conferences. So and we're trying to do that in multiple countries and multiple places. So we had language, we had experience, and we had the fact that we needed to get this out of my head. And that's really, on this one, we did the principles first, then we did the shape one. The shape one was a slightly different problem. That was, I think we need a bit of simplification. So the shape came along with simplification. But in this one, it's about the almost like the principles and values. Yeah. And the beauty of it was when I contacted you, Stuart, because you're part of the community, because you understand the values of the community, it wasn't like a difficult process for us to communicate. Yeah. So we'd been together, we've done work before. So what I kind of thought of doing was make is almost like have a sentence that kind of describes what we're doing, and then write a paragraph on what we're doing. What you don't know, Stuart, is that after I saw your picture, I went back and edited both the sentence and the words. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, because when I saw the picture, it's almost like we co-created.
That's really interesting, Scott. I hope I don't just to stop your flow, but that's whenever people want sort of animations or they want any sort of visuals or a storyboard, often that's kind of what happens, right? Someone creates a lightweight sort of visual, document of what they want, and as soon as you create the picture, that then informs the words, and it continues to and fro. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we want to go to the words here, I think we evolved them from something like "it's not a conference," which was like the first bit, because I was so fed up of telling people it's not a conference. And then we went in. Then when I saw your graphic, I got distributed evolving ecosystem straight out of it, and I thought, well, I need to make the words that and not the emphasis on not a conference. And again, sometimes it's easier to tell people what it is than what it isn't. So do you want to talk about how you developed that drawing? Because I thought that was wonderful. I'll be using that for years to come.
Just like Sathpal was saying, and I think it might touch on one of the quite good questions here from in chat. And I'm sorry if you just walk away from this session and everyone goes, "Oh, I wish they'd stop saying simplicity," but that's what it was for me. And I love this saying. A lot of people, I think that innovation and transformation, and I think a lot of agility and all those sorts of things, it all starts and from the leadership area, whatever. But for me, change happens and it's viral. And I love this saying from someone I work with called Alan, peer-to-peer viral change. So it's people and connections. It's all the stuff that I've got here on Steve Jobs. For me, that ecosystem, for me, an ecosystem is these interactions between those people. So it's a systems thinking, those nodes and those connections, but it's the people. It's the people that are the powerful thing. And I just kind of wanted to kind of create a diverse group of people that are both creating an ecosystem, but also flying and free, this kind of free ability to kind of go from any direction and come in and connect.
So I could apply that picture to the trustees. Yeah. One of the trustees this week said to me, it's been difficult trying to engage with the festival because it's chaos. Yeah. And at several points I've actually, if you know Kinefin, I've actually taken us from complexity into chaos to come back in with a little bit more of a story. So I love the chaos in this picture. I think some of the people in that picture are a little bit scared, but at the same time, there's energy. And yeah, so it's fascinating. I think this modeled what was going to happen to people prior to it happening, which I think it's a kind of premonition. Yeah, love it. Some people like a lot of structure. This festival was never going to be run with a lot of structure. So but there's no structure in this picture. It's there's an attraction, gravity, and there's a lot of kinetic movement, which some people look like they're enjoying more than others.
It's an experiment, I guess. This is all an experiment, right?
It's all an experiment. Yeah, I loved it.
Okay.
Oh, just on that one, could you go to the kind of the first drawing?
This one here?
Yeah, and zoom in on the like the overview one. This one. Yeah, no, back there. See that yes, and this come across. Okay, so we went through a couple of iterations of this one. Remember, first time we did it, Gabrielle said, "Well, it hasn't got a lot of agile," and then Alistair, Coburn, and Gabrielle fell out because Alistair.
Really?
Yeah, well, Gabrielle said it should be about the future. Yeah, and well, I don't fallout's a strong word. You know, they had a debate, and Alistair said no, it's surely it's looking back. And the thing I loved about this diagram was it had the party element, yeah, and it had it had the various people there. It's got the experiments, the test tube, the experiment. It's got the future thing. It's also got the past thing, and you also put Kanban and Scrum in there. So we've got the methods thing as well, and you got the globe. So honestly, I can't think of any way to improve that picture for the entire festival. It's just been amazing.
Right. We had to add, this is another interesting thing: is how do we visualize value? Value can be perceived as many forms, and quality. But yeah, you're right. I completely forgot about that. I was more balloons, I think, and more of a celebration was requested. So we kind of added those and tests. Yeah.
And the light bulb and the treasure with the diamond and the experiments. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Again, a very valuable thing, and the manifesto at the beginning. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, yeah, thank you for that.
No worries.
So do you want to go into the second principle now?
Oh, can you see it? Can you not see my screen? Is it?
We're still on. It still seems to be on the. I can. It is now. Sorry, I might be having some bandwidth problems. I think this time of day the bandwidth always struggles. Okay, so again, free to everyone. Was kind of important, and this was the one where I think you did a couple of attempts at diversity. So I remember you sent me one, and then you sent it back and said, "I don't think it's diverse enough." The things I liked was the groups. So there are teams of people, there's individual people, there's lots of people doing different things. The columns are great for me because they kind of signify just that it's okay to do everyone's own thing. And I particularly like the February 2021 because again one of the other questions was like, when's the conference? And it's like February. Yeah, but when in February? So all of February. This diagram also kind of represents like the regions to me. So some regions were like parties, and other regions were a little bit more educational, and some regions were smaller. So it just captured it. It's got the it's got the global element. It's huge. It's free. It's global. I just loved all of that. Yeah. What did you think when you were doing that?
Early on, I think, as everyone will now know, my background in social care and things, I really wanted to get across diversity. And over time, we talk about characters and drawing people. Less is more. I used to draw a lot more faces and features. And the reason why you got these faceless people, I hope they're not too daunting, is exactly what Scott said. You can read more into these things. And I also want to create more of a cohesion between how I draw and how I teach people to draw. So that simply, there's a very simple method to do that. So that's why just a shout out to that. So as far as diversity, you've got these kind of cloud-like hair. The fact that you could draw everyone very and show action. This is the thing about sort of drawing different people of diversity. I've just wanted to show that level of change, and then adding different things. But yeah, I guess that was it for me. I think there was a lot of other people that looked at these pictures, and there was great fast feedback, and making sure that can we be clear that it's free, and it is free for people, and that's where I think the ambassador element comes in of how can we ensure that everyone can access the festival and make use of it. So that was kind of the idea behind it for me.
Yeah, and the principle's been useful. So people have come back and said, "Oh, you're going to get an archive of videos. You can monetize that." And I went, "Well, it doesn't go against the second principle." Or people have come in and said, with our events, could we ask for donations? And those that want to donate can donate, and we're like, no, because it's free. It's so powerful to have a principle that everyone's agreed on that you can just go back to.
That is good. Yeah, that is funny. Okay, moving to here.
Yeah, so locally created. Again, what I liked about this was Teams, laptop, so they're in one place, but they're seeing the world. Again, hello world, such a great phrase. It's the first thing we learned to program. And you know, they're accessing it through the laptop. So almost if I put anything in about festivals or that, you'll see lots of activity, lots of people. Maybe, yeah, a couple of times with the festivals, I've been using pictures of conference rooms and things and big lecture theaters, and I actually thought you nailed it better than anything I could find in clip art, because what you got is a group of people engaging with the world, and they're doing it locally, and they're organizing the inclusion and diversity locally, and they're all putting it in from their end. So this really captured the other end of the telescope for me. I actually loved this one. That was perfect.
It's interesting you say there about clip art. For anyone here, you know, we want to embrace diversity of thought, but if anyone struggles to find that thing to draw, if you do go to Google and images and icon, so it kind of optimizes what sort of is highest on the food chain. So you get this consensus. Sometimes that does help. So just a kind of for those wishing to find simple ways to visually think. But yeah, I'm glad it works for you. But yeah, just this feeling that wherever you are, wherever this group is, I don't know about you, Scott and Sathpal, but the COVID is a very, very sad time. But I really feel like it shrunk the globe. And I feel like I can make so many more connections. And I think that's such a beautiful, powerful thing, that wherever you are, whatever corner of the world, you're able to say hi.
Yeah, so think about it. Let's say we take one of the big conferences, Agile 2021 or something.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. You know what it's like, even with 2,500 people there, okay. The financial ability for someone to engage with that conference, get on a plane, go to, I don't know where it is this year, go to the conference center, pay for the hotels to attend, is completely out with most of the world. Let's just face it, most of the world can't afford to go to Agile 2021, but most of the world will now have access to a phone that might have that might have digital contact, or access to a shared computer or something with digital contact, and they can take part. Completely, and we'll talk about it a little bit, but this idea of money not being a barrier to participation, I think you've nailed here as well with local creation.
Lovely.
Yeah.
If anyone's off or mute, feel free to do so as well.
So the ambassadors, really complicated concept to get across, and I actually wanted them to have more power. So even as the festival went on, I found a lot of questions were coming to the central team. A lot of the trustees were kind of been asked to decide things. I was being asked to decide things, and I wanted a lot more of that to be distributed. And almost like the first team that spoke to me, and I really put that message across to them, was the South Americans, and they grabbed it. They had their own logos, they had their own videos, they just did everything themselves. So the idea of the ambassador was to kind of facilitate in an area, and I don't think we kind of landed that one right. I really want to do this one in the retro just to see if it works. But again, your picture, is probably shows the vision more. There's the there's the selling, the sandwich board. There's the selling of the idea. There's the fact that they are all over the world, but also that they're kind of helping to facilitate and organize locally, and participating in other things. And I just love that. I thought you summed up all the elements there. It's interesting role, ambassador. What do you think?
Well, it's just what you just reminded me. One of the things that sort of chapters in my life was, once I'd worked within social care, I'd moved more sort of centrally in local authority, which is kind of why that move to being a business analyst happened. But I was creating easy read information on the website, and I think this is kind of what we've recreated here. Is when I was working for a translation service within local authority, if anyone ever requested a translated text or easy read information, it was a case of it was forcing people to make the type size bigger, adding an illustration to it. And that's kind of what I was trying to do here, is think of those key bullet points and try to find an image to represent those things. So I guess when I first saw this principle, Scott, I was like, whoa, okay, I need my Weetabix. But I just try to kind of create those situations. I think that's another thing. I'm sorry if I'm going off on different off piece, but that's what the visual's doing, and that's what the process. Because for me, visuals are assisting you with facilitation. If you took the words away, would you know what that principle was? And the chances are probably not. Probably not. That probably wouldn't be enough for you to enough rigor. But it's facilitating those principles and helping to bring them to life. So I guess what I'm thinking here is trying to think of less is more, and trying to get the sort of the feel of this ambassador role.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. So even within the trustees and that, one of our problems at the moment is getting the videos onto the archive. Yeah. And I always assumed that the ambassadors would be quite involved in that. And I realized with hindsight, whilst we were focusing on getting the events in, we probably didn't do enough education with the ambassadors, that this would be a key part of what they're doing. And then when the trustees discussed, well, how can we get more archiving? It was like 3 people immediately just put in the chat, ambassadors. And then I suddenly realized I probably didn't take all the trustees over these principles as well, in detail.
So just quickly there. So we've got about 15 minutes, Jed. So this is great.
We can pick up the pace.
It'd be lovely to give our attendees the opportunity to ask us some questions and engage in some dialogue with us. So
all right, thank you, Sath, as always.
Okay.
Accessible and inclusive. Again, it's just underlining that fact.
Yeah.
And again, the whole YouTube thing. So the YouTube logo there really, kind of keys that in. Next 10 years, we're wanting people to look at this and and use it as an archive. Yeah.
I will. Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. And I shall move us forward based on that. So we go. We've only got three more to look at. There we go. Three more.
So this one's good. Again, it's the funding thing. So we wanted to kind of fund it, and I just love the seed metaphor. So the plants and the money in the pots. Brilliant. It's interesting. Again, I guess I thought we would have more money. I thought more of the participants in the festival would have, just thought this is wonderful. I'm really getting a lot of value here. Let me add some money. So that's been an interesting one. So yeah.
It's a difficult one. I when you draw finance, it's always a bit sterile or clinical. And so how can you bring the same level of warmth? And that's why this took a while, but then just thinking about, the growth and the fact that we're seeding things, and that's seeding further support.
But also that it doesn't, it's coming from people. It's coming from the people and the whole world. I mean, the easiest thing in the world, and we started talking about it at the beginning, was we could just get £1,000 off every supporter. We'd have £70,000. We didn't. We thought we'd get the community to fund this, and we got £2,000.
That's absolutely amazing.
All right.
That's absolutely. Yes. Okay.
Okay. This is a trickier one, because when we started to kind of, one of the problems that the ambassadors had was many of them were new to Agile, especially in African countries and things, and they didn't really know who the speakers were, and they didn't know what the connections were with the speakers. So the idea of having a list of people that wanted to speak was a kind of marrying thing. So we had people that wanted speakers. We have a list of people that are available. Put the two together, and you can have interesting people in different places. So, Scott Ambler's doing talks in Africa. Africans are doing talks in America, and that all worked. Where it kind of fell down a little bit. Actually, no. One of the things I wanted to do there was try and break the big name thing as well. So we did want fresh voices on there, but maybe where it broke down is I don't think everyone who went on the speakers list got invited to something. So and in reflection and retro, we need to think about that. But just the idea of everyone wanting to volunteer, I thought that picture captured it well. And again, the diversity thing.
Yeah, and that's interesting what you say there. And I think that's what's come across from the Agile Reflect Festival is is the fact I did a meetup years ago, which is like that agile stand-up. But that is that you want to hear everybody's voice. You want to hear everyone have the opportunity to kind of stand up and say something. So that's super powerful and really cool thing about the festival.
Yeah, excellent. And it was, again, helps. Thank you for helping draw this one. Okay. The next, if you go to the 8, it's falling back. I think self-navigation, great thing. Used the car for self-navigation. Loved that. And that's really happened. So you could be interested in, say, feminist issues, and have done a whole feminist conference. You could have been interested in Scrum and just done a Scrum conference. You could have just been interested in scaling and safe and just done a scaling and safe one. Partly I've just done a hosting one, so people have asked me to help host and things, and that's been the drive, and I'm using the archive to catch up on things. But the navigation, brilliant. Again, you can see that the person is driving.
Yeah, like that diverse, that opportunity to trial things out. And we've got 2 more. Sorry, we had a little one that came at the end. It'd be interesting to talk about. There we go.
Yeah. So again, this one, the mass learning, the long-lasting friendships and things. I think that's happened. Yeah, we definitely, we've definitely pulled people together that wouldn't have met. Last night we had the ethics meeting, and after the ethics meeting, everyone hung on for 90 minutes. So again, amazing. People just want to, to share and hang out. So that's worked. And he captured it. The hand holding. It's a bit like Auld Lang Syne and all again, the experimentation, light bulbs, and information. Just again, the fact that we're an educational charity, amazing. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, warmth and this wealth of knowledge and experience and sharing is absolutely amazing. It's just I've never experienced anything like it.
And the final bit, we kind of contacted you just for the opening ceremony and said, I think we're now looking at what we've done. I think we've missed something, and it's the equality. So it's the fact that we advertised everyone the same. It didn't matter whether you were big or small, and I've come to understand that a lot of people view the size of their events as a metric. Yeah. And one thing in this festival has done is really promoted a lot of events that have got smaller groups that can go deeper into things. So that it's really kind of allowed an interaction space. Like today, where people have been drawing and and going through the theory. Also, people can take the time, because nobody's saying this has got to be 40 minutes. We've kind of, if someone wanted to do a 2-hour event or a 3-day event, they could. If some of the other people have like, they've kind of had one event and run it over 3 times because they kept getting asked to. And it's the beauty that all of this is done without having any keynotes, any big name speakers, any great, everyone's got equal access. And I'm pretty sure we brought a lot of new people into the, and maybe even into the speaker circuit from this. So, and you were flexible enough to go and do another one. And I wasn't sure what you were going to draw. And then I realized everyone's in the spotlight. Love it. So clever.
There you go. Yeah. And that's what I love about this. I really do think you've nailed that. So well done to all of you for making that happen. It's absolutely amazing.
Right. So, anyway, my usual apology to Sath. Sorry I spoke so much.
There we are. And thank you. So there we go. Thanks and questions. And I will stop sharing so I can see people's faces.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'd be good to see everyone. We just stop. There we go. See everyone now. That's fab. Yeah, ask us anything, folks. Happy to take questions. Keen to take questions. Did that resonate? Did that give you new ideas? Does it make you want to go away and have a go?
There was one question that was really nice.
There was one earlier on from Jerome, I think.
Yeah, around keeping things simple. How does this work within the agile space if we're working on ideations or we're going through we're thinking about some of those sort of phases, not that we talk phases, but the intent for me when we think about the key events of Scrum, or we think about being framework and method non-biased here, it really is about getting those people in a room. And remember what I said right at the beginning with Dave Sibbett, it's extending the retention of group memory. So whoever you're in that room with, if you draw a picture and you create that artifact, people will hang on to that. And that's the powerful thing. And it also reduces the assumptions that we're trying to do in Agile.
Yes, Stuart. Yeah, thanks.
So Stuart, as people are brainstorming and such, how do you keep up with the drawings, even as a professional, with all the conversation and keep up in general?
That's an awesome question. And I think that's where that human cursor and that neutrality comes in. So, you know, you myself being passionate about Scrum and what we're trying to do is exactly that intent. If we use things like structure patterns, so a lot of us have drawn the sailboat for a retrospective or something like that. If you draw that structure, you're getting everyone there, you're getting everyone framed on thing. What are the winds in our sail? What are the things that are holding us back? Or we're looking at the business model canvas from a business perspective or something much more prevalent at the leadership level. You don't have to be drawing bang, bang, bang. I mean, straight away, that does take some time. So what you can do is you can encourage others in the room to draw something on a post-it and add their thoughts on the work on the flip chart. The other things that we can do is incorporate those structure patterns. So one example that I always like to give is creating a radial structure where you draw the idea or the problem in the middle, and then you create this sort of radial approach. And then you can also get people to start, that's where post-its help. You can start scattering, rearranging and moving so that you're not sort of doing death by PowerPoint, but you're providing that autonomy and that sort of ability to be organic. So, you know, you don't have to draw straight away. But if you do need to sort of, you've been told that your responsibility is to record a session, you can, the thing is to try to understand how to synthesize those key things. And I think that just takes practice.
Because I know we could leverage this. Like, I know my product owners, they, as they're doing like a discovery, especially when they're moving to, I'm going to use one product owner, we're standing up a web store. They have several different web stores they have to do. So they're doing a lot of the discovery piece with the first one. So this would be a great getting all these ideas together. What is our product? What are we trying to deliver? What's our vision and strategy? I could see using this. So yeah, sometimes all of that conversation happens so much and together and very fast. So sometimes it's really hard to capture all of that.
I love that. And I think the other thing about that is how fast and how not precious we need to be with it. So Alex Osterwelder from Strategize, if you've ever been on one of his courses, he gets everyone to draw the ideas. And then on the tables, you dot vote for your favorite idea. And then he gets to those people that are holding up their paper really proudly. He says, right, grab your paper up. And everyone's thinking, this is my moment. And then he says, right, grab your paper and rip it in half and throw it over your shoulder. And you're like, oh my goodness. But it's that you don't want to be hung up. This is the thing, you're not being precious, but you're trying to connect people. And it's just the first step. So that's the feel. But I can't emphasize enough that we make assumptions of what people want, but as soon as we draw it, then we can all be connected and then we can all be driven forward.
We don't have anything else in the chat, I don't think, but yeah, just feel free to unmute and ask away, folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, So actually the question from Jerome was resonating with me about how you visualize things which usually are very heavy documentation and stuff, how you actually light it a little bit with some visualization. It resonated to me because I was thinking about visualizing our rituals, which are inspired by Scrum. We are actually doing our best to run real Scrum, and but to extend it to really use such visualization in the documentation itself. This is interesting idea. So what do you say to that?
So I was waiting. I thought you might be telling us what I was sitting back thinking you're going to sort of give us your. What do I think about sort of incorporating it? I think that there's different people have different stakeholders in any business. Whether we do Scrum, like you say, or Agile, or something outside of it. every stakeholder has a different preference for how you communicate that information, whether it be a high-level requirement document or whether it be simple, lightweight, and so forth. I think that just the visuals, the purpose of the visual is just to keep that high-level viewpoint and that at the sort of frame centrally as you move through a product. What was your? I want to go to Carl as well. What was the question? Sorry, I was sat back relaxed.
How would you use this kind of visualization and documentation also? So actually into the things which you need to somehow document also how the software run, how the things are going. So actually to fresh it up with the visualization when it is not that usual, but actually some mixture with some kind of like visual things would definitely help, I think.
Totally. And I think this is where the intangible, tangible thing comes in. So when we think about, we're trying to demonstrate the work that we're doing and the things that we're doing, sometimes the things that we've managed to achieve are intangible or are invisible. So that's where this is another conversation for blending both innovation and agility, but trying to draw and visualize the things that you've managed to achieve. I think that's very powerful and really important. So I just think it's an ongoing thing. And I think involve the visuals in anything, involve them in leadership sessions. When you're thinking about creating products and services and initiatives, visualizing anything, just getting everyone on one page is powerful. UX and UI comes into this. There's so much that can be said, but yes, I 100% think that we should just draw as much as we can to ensure that we remove any assumptions that we're all on the same page and validate any design ideas. But I'd like to come back to that, but just before, we've got 1 minute. Carl,
can I just briefly build on that? So I think it's also about being complementary. So as I said earlier, people process information in different ways. So a good example of that is, so Scott and I have worked together in the past, and when the COVID situation really kind of escalated and a lot of us were kind of, with lockdowns, we were in our own homes, everybody was kind of basically working from home. We were dispersed teams. So suddenly communication becomes infinitely harder. And Scott was an agile coach working in the same area as me in the org we were in. And he was producing these really good sort of guides and things around trying to help people get through that. But they were very wordy. So they were quite long emails. They've got content in them, but then you're thinking not everybody is necessarily going to read them or have the time to read them or be able to digest all of that. So then I'd kind of created a bunch of visuals to kind of support that. And at the end, so every day these were getting sent out to the department. And at the end of every week, I was doing a visual weekly summary, bringing all of those ideas together and kind of trying to tell a story around the different things that we were covering. And
that was fun.
We're getting a lot of feedback. Yeah,
that was early COVID days.
Yeah,
we were more effective than the British cabinet at that time.
But I guess it's that complementary thing. You do, somebody said earlier about documentation. It's like you can't get away from it. It's things you need, but you can also summarize and break things down with visuals to help reinforce messages and ideas is probably what I would say.
Yeah, what I've found over years of trying to, apparently, one of the feedbacks I get is I'm really good at building teams and getting teams together and getting teams focused. And what I do is I always use multi-channels to communicate. So really, the drawings were to try and communicate with the visual people, who weren't okay in the language stuff. I've often found as well, sometimes the detailed people want some detail. So trying to get the balance is do it all. So have a nice drawing. So the people that don't need detail can get it. Have those drawings being emotional. You can keep them as a nice summary as well. You can have like 16 drawings very easily to access. You can't have 16 kind of points written out. But at the same time, you've got the detail. So those people that like the detail can go into the detail as well. So it's kind of catering for everybody and not assuming that everyone likes to communicate the way you do. Can't hear you, Stuart.
Think you're on mute, but you don't look like you're on mute.
You're
on mute now. You're off. No, you're not on mute. Can't hear you.
Draw us a picture, mate.
Can't hear you.
You're getting you're getting a tenner for that one, Seth. Well done. You cut him off. Him and his fancy gadgets.
He's only got self to blame. He's got a configuration issue somewhere. You're on the wrong device.
Somebody tell him to keep it simple. It's all about simplification, Stuart. Can't hear
Back
a
to
word.
Scott's point. Just draw a picture, man. Communicate. You have the skills.
Just draw it.
Can I ask my question? Maybe Stuart could reply.
Yeah, please, Carl. Please, sorry. Carry on. Go on.
It was a simple question. Obviously, now we're working from home. A lot of my drawing I'm trying to do online to try and share. So when I'm in Teams meetings, and I'm using Miro at the moment to give that a go. Is there a good tool or a better tool to use out there to draw online and share? Any recommendations?
To draw online. You're saying online. So I do a lot of my stuff, or have done over the last 6 months, on an iPad. So you take a tablet, get yourself a pencil, as long as you do it, and then you can, you draw something and you can very quickly share it and email it. That might be one option. I'm not entirely sure that that's what you're aiming at.
I've done that. I'm after sort of an app. So I'm using my my tablet and I'm drawing, and I'm using sort of Miro, but it's quite limited in the sort of functionality of it.
Yeah. Not sure actually. So what do you feel it's not allowing you to do? I guess.
Sure, just write some in the chat.
Stuart's writing in the chat.
No, you should do.
I don't see him anymore, is he?
Stuart, I've just sent you a message. Go into Zoom, click onto your mic settings. It's most likely changed it because it does it to me all the time.
Yeah, that's Carl hacking your laptop.
Yeah. But equally, Stuart, you could just drop something in the chat, mate.
So, Carl, if I may jump in, so I actually tried a couple of things to actually do these remote sessions and make them visual. And my favorite, it's actually mural.co, because there you can allow the visitors to come to your board on the web browser without even logging in and having an account. And this has many like post-its options and many cool things, and drawing is there as well, like simple drawing, just simple doing an icon and so on. And they have really like 6,000 icons there and so on. So that's my favorite now, what I use.
Can you hear me?
Yay!
Yeah.
Goodness me. Yeah, sorry about that. I disconnected EpoCam to make the internet better, to change. So I'll go
Simplify.
back. I know. One quick one that I couldn't talk was, one thing we haven't touched on here is empathy. And I just wanted to say, just going back to Erica, I'll come to Carl with Erica, really good questions. And I love what Sathpal and Scott said. But one moment for me that was quite prevalent was when, I don't know if anyone from the UK will remember the baby P incident, which is where there was not enough connections within social care. There was a child abuse, a terrible situation where there wasn't enough people connecting to realize that there was an abuse happening.
Yeah.
And one of my jobs as a business analyst was to create a value, to Visio process map the different processes going on. But I ended up storyboarding the different processes. And I think that that's the other thing about visuals that you don't get from the written word, is showing empathy, showing human, showing that real thing. And when you think about customer journey mapping and storyboarding, it's those customer pain points that are leading to change. So just wanted to touch on the drawing provides emotion, and that's powerful. That's that bit. And Carl, sorry, what was your question, my friend?
So I was just saying, I'm trying to draw with my team through online. I've got an iPad and a pen.
Yeah.
I'm using Miro or Miro at the moment. I just wondered if you got any other recommendations.
I love Mural for collaboration. That's my go-to. I like Miro and Mural, but Mural's my favorite, my preferred one. What I would say is that when I personally use Mural on a tablet, I find it quite difficult I don't find it as I'm not as comfortable on it. So I do use a tablet. I do use an iPad Pro, and I use Notability to draw over slides, and I use a product called Procreate for the drawing. It's called Procreate. What I would say though is I know that I've probably spell that again. Probably not sold it today, but if you've got an iPhone, you can use turn your smartphone into a webcam. You can use a clamp. I use a clamp. You can see just here, up there. There's a little clamp. Clamp my phone, and then I actually just draw on a flip chart. So you don't need to, if you're trying to draw live on Zoom with your teams and make it live, don't feel that you need to use a tablet. Use Scott's got a couple of different cameras on his view. He's got one here. He's going to show you. You could just use that. You could just draw on a bit of paper. I've got a bit of paper here. I could get a clamp and I can just draw away straight like that. So that could also work.
Brilliant. I'll give that a go. Thank you.
And if you want sort of that speed, if you're using Mural and you're the one that's taking on the responsibility of sketch noting what's being done, if you could kind of screenshot the work that you're doing and connect it to Dropbox or something like that, you can continuously drag what you're doing into Mural so people can see what you're doing there as well.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Sorry about my glitchy sound, but it is Saturday, isn't it? It is Saturday.
I would like to add, if anyone can actually get an opportunity to go on your course, Stuart. I didn't think I could draw, and I've only been on a 1.5-day course, and it's been absolutely amazing. I've been able to draw, I've been able to visualize things. If you do get an opportunity, Stuart, you're an absolutely amazing coach, you're an amazing trainer. The fact you did it all online with us in a 1.5 days, and I've got another part to go to with you in about a month's time, and I'm so excited. But if you get an opportunity, do it. That's all I can say, because it's absolutely amazing. It's great fun as well.
You're a very good, thank you. You should work, you should help me out more often. I had some information on upcoming courses, which I would have forgotten to add to chat. So thank you very much, Sabrina. But I also want to shout out, there's a lot of really good meetups out there. There's Scott Viz that Andy DeVale and a crew bring together, and they just create lots of opportunities for free learning. There's the Viz Jam with Grant and Paddy that do some really great stuff there. And there's some just amazing things all over the world. What I would say is go online, start just trying to find things that you like to draw. If you're trying to learn to draw live, get a TEDx talk. It's a constrained time box of around 20 minutes. Draw and see what comes out of it. Actively listen. And that's another way of how can you synthesize those key things. It takes a lot of practice, but videoing, I think Sheena might be gone now, but videoing those that TEDx talk and looking at what those things that you've managed to capture is a really powerful, quick way to practice. Okay. I think I'm going to say we should, I don't know about you guys, Seth and Scott, but I'll hang around for a bit just in case there are any more questions. But
I'm happy to.
If anyone wants to go, and
I need to pop off to Nigeria.
Okay, then in which case, we'll stop the recording there.
And you could switch